Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of A Long Story Short. My name is Vineet Malhotra, and today I have the pleasure as well as the privilege of having somebody extremely talented, extremely well known, and somebody who doesn't, in fact, pull a punch when it comes to speaking his mind. Onir is with us to talk about his latest projects. And as you know, he's known for great movies such as My Brother Nikhil, I Am. He won the National Award for his film I Am, which consists of four short films: Omar, Afik, Abhimanyu, and Megha, if I got that right. Onir, thank you so much for speaking with us, and thank you so much for accommodating this request at a very short notice. I'm a big fan of yours. You have been involved in a project which basically entails Kashmir and a love story in Kashmir. Tell us about that. What should our viewers know about this project, and then we'll get to further nitty-gritties.
Thank you, Vinit, for your kind words. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you. Yes, my new film, which is a sequel to my film I Am, it's called We Are. And the difference is I Am had four stories in one film, which were interconnected. And We Are has four films, which are interconnected. And the first film is a film that's set in Kashmir, and it's called We Are Fahim and Karun, and it's a love story. It's a love story in a landscape which is extremely unique because we shot the film in a place called Gurez in Kashmir, which is extremely remote, probably the first feature film that has been shot there. The film also, for me is very special because I see it as a Kashmiri film because 60% of the dialogues are in Kashmiri, and all the Kashmiri characters in the film are played by Kashmiris. So there is, and I thought that that was really important for the authenticity of the characters, of the landscape, to use as much as possible of that. It's a special love story because it's a love story of two persons. One is a security guard at a construction site, and a Kashmiri Muslim, coming from spaces where your identity is invisible. Because of society, because of your workspace, you're not able to be open about your identity, and how when two people who are invisible and at the same time uh, in a situation where they are seen as people from the opposite spaces, spaces that cannot meet, but in through your queer identity, through that space of invisibility, you bond because you realize that in a way, in a strange way, everyone is facing some kind of oppression from the same forces. And this is a film that is ultimately seeking peace, love, in a world that is constantly divided by various reasons, that we as human beings don't stop in finding what differentiates us from the other and make the other other. Instead of us, we are constantly looking at how it is us and them. This film seeks to uh, erase the us and them and find, me and them, instead of it to find a we, or find us. So that's why the film is called We Are,
Hmm.
because it is about seeking what unites us rather than what divides us.
Well articulated, brother. You also had the opportunity to work with a legendary director like Deepa Mehta. What was that experience all about? Tell us about some of the work that's been done by her in the past that has influenced your work and resonates with what you do as a craftsman of movies.
I think, Deepa Mehta has always been an inspiration as a filmmaker, and of course, additionally for her films which deal with queer narrative and has been path breaking. Fire, which was, I think, released in 1997, was one of the first mainstream films which is set in India with a queer love story, which was a lesbian love story. And I think it was for the first time that once saw representation in screen. And over the years, she has been a very, very strong supporter. And right till her last film, which is called Funny Boy, which was set in Sri Lanka, is again based on a very, very beautiful love story, queer love story set in the times of conflict. And I find Deepa being inspiring because she also faces a lot of challenges while making these films in a difficult landscape. And when she read the script, she really loved it and wanted to I was seeking her support, and I was really, really happy that she immediately wanted, offered to be the presenter of the film. And I'm really, really happy that someone who has been such an icon, internationally, and for the kind of film she does and for the support she's been to the community, is a part of my film, which is also very special to me.
Hmm. All right. Well, I also wanted to pick on something you said very recently. You said that the kind of movies that you make are not respected with the festivals that happen in India, and they're more respected abroad. What do you mean by that? And then we'll talk about how to change that.
One is, honestly speaking, there are not too many very good film festivals in India. There are very few, you know, and unfortunately, very often they're not independent of where, in terms of how they select films. Recently in Mami, where I screened my other film called My Melbourne, which is an anthology with Kabir Khan, Imtiaz Ali, and Rima Das. Uh, there were a couple of films that were pulled out of the festival because of political reasons. you
Hmm.
know my This film premiered at Dhamshala, which I think is one of the best film festivals in India, because it's a very independent space and the selection of films are beautiful. But even there, they were asked to remove one of the films that was screening at the festival. Uh, at the same time, at the festival, they screened Dibakar Banerjee's Tees, which is also facing a lot of problems, and which is a stunning and beautiful film, which was screened at. But apart from that, I feel that today some of our film festivals, like the Goa Film Festival, the selections of films are really disappointing. When you know that there are far, far superior films across the country. And unfortunately, ever since I went for Bharat Joro Yatra, and I won't shy about saying that, because I feel in a democracy you have the right to go for anything that you want, support whoever you want. Ever since that, everything to do with me, be it in panel discussions, be it in, yeah, I've been dropped, uh, you know, and I find that sad, because I feel that spaces of that celebrate cinema, that celebrate art, should be a space that questions, questioning your state, questioning institutions, is actually a reflection of the love that you have for your country. It does not mean that you do not, questioning means that you care and you want it to be better. And when that questioning is stopped, I think it is a tragedy. I feel that, even with my previous film Pinecone, it has been to some of the biggest film festivals, right from BFI Flair to many other festivals, over 30 festivals. But I don't find that much of um interest in the country itself. you know Again, though, I feel some of the films I make are extremely unique in terms of the story. I mean, there are not too many people doing films in that space out here. But at the same time, I'm happy that my new film, My Melbourne, which is an anthology, is, it premiered at Mami in India, and now I'll be going to the Calcutta International Festival and then the Chennai International Festival with our film. So I feel, sometimes doors open up, but I wish there was much more of that.
Hmm. Do you think there is a lobby in Bollywood? Just like you have a lobby in Hollywood, they said that the Jews control Wall Street and they control Hollywood. Do you think that something like this also
There are
applies to
there are
Bollywood?
there are camps everywhere. Not just in terms of one talks of the film industry, but it is there everywhere. you
Mm,
know and people who bond identify, they seem to, they come together, and unfortunately, it's all okay to bond and come together as long that it does not start excluding others. But unfortunately, I think that happens a lot in our industry, that when something like a Sushant Singh episode happens, everyone starts talking of nepotism, da 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 da. 1 year down the line, we're back to square one, where you suddenly see beat OTT platforms, beat studios only work with the same set of people. You'll see the same set of actors who are signed up by the same set of what you call it, talent companies, or you know so the access to talent for people who don't belong to those groups are limited, because and then the platforms also want the same set of people. So kind of instead of being a space that was a space which was supposed to be for independent cinema, today it is sad that even OTTs are going after this big, which very often is actually not working for them.
mm,
So instead of nurturing what was supposed to be a space for also independent cinema, of course do your big ones, but when you are spending hundreds of crores in one film, and you might not get that much of eyeballs, as they call it.
mm,
I mean, what is the problem in spending, that's 50 crores for 10 films, and you promote it, and you get your eyeballs because there is an audience. The fact is, there is no platform that reaches out to them for other kind of content, and
mm,
that is why I feel our film industry is feeling a challenge, because we are only making remakes of very successful South films very often, you know and that industry today, Malayalam film industry, for example, is thriving because it has beautiful news stories, beautiful talent. And I wish, while we do the big ones, because it's important for the industry also to do big scale films, it kind of feeds the entire industry. But I wish there was more space for independent cinema, which right now, you hardly have independent cinema in the Bombay film industry.
mm. Do you think that Bollywood is very top heavy? The concept is usually not bigger than the star, and in Hollywood, it's the concept that's bigger than the star.
Uh,
You can have a Matt Damon in a movie, playing second fiddle, and in the next movie, he's Jason Bourne.
yes and no. I feel today when you see a film like Street 2 succeeding, I think that is about the concept. That is about the content of the film that connected. It's not. It's the success of the filmmaker and the film more than any star. And that too happens. And today, sometimes when you see some very big films releasing right now with all the big stars, it does not actually do the kind of business that is even close to the budget. But there is this entire mechanism which always already celebrates that it's a huge hit. If you're a 300 crore film and you make 250 crores or 300, how is that great, rather than if you look at 12th fail, which is a 20 crore film, makes more than 100 crore. So and that again, if you're looking at it, it is a not film about star, it's about a film about the story and the filmmaker. And I
Correct.
feel, or if you look at Lapata Ladies, for example, but we need much more of this. So I feel that if the industry would open up, if of our stars would stop charging the kind of money they charge, which kills the film right in the beginning, you
Mm,
know I think we would have many more beautiful films. In Hollywood, you'll see big stars very often do independent cinema, you
mm,
know, and not burden it with the kind of costs there. But right now, I think independent cinema finds it challenging because very often actors who are a part of it charge extremely unreasonable, kind of fees kind of.
Hmm. You're absolutely right. Um for the Ramayana movie, what I'm being told is that the main protagonist got over 100 crores for a movie, and Kriti Sanon, who played Sita, she got 3 crores. And obviously, this disparity is also another issue. You just mentioned, Dada, that you were a part of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Do you have any political affiliations? Is that the reason why you took part in it? Is there something that you
uh,
can
I
change?
think there is nothing called apolitical. All of us are political because we live in a country, and we should be, no, since we vote. We want every citizen to vote, right?
Hmm.
Which means when they vote, they're not just voting without any political consciousness. That would be really, really sad if what. So very often, unfortunately, our film industry people, for whatever reason, pretend to be apolitical, but that's a lie. You can't be apolitical. You take a stand, and and for me, going for Bharat Jodo honestly is not so much because I admire the party, but
Hmm.
more for unity, you know, and more for just making our country a kinder place. So for me, my political choices are about empathy, about us, and not about me and them. you know and
Hmm.
that is very, very clear. And I feel that all our work, when people are silent, that's also a political stand. And that one is seen through history, that silence does not make you apolitical.
Hmm. What's your thought on the idea of wokeism? I'll tell you why I ask you this. Because
On, sorry, on.
on wokeism, the woke culture. That's of course pervading the West, as the United States as well. I ask you this is because there has been a result of the U.S. elections, and the right-wing Republican Party has won, and they say it's a big jolt to wokeism. It's a big jolt to a large extent to the way the LGBTQ community also wants to operate and see the world. What are your thoughts on this development?
See, I feel, all these terms are very, it's always when once there are this divide, and when one what you call, quote unquote, side is doing well, they will be critical. Like, for example, how there are people who will mock the term feminism, you know which very often comes from the lack of understanding of the term. Secondly, when it comes to LGBTQI rights, I feel there are LGBTQI, people. There is nothing homogeneous. There are people from the community who are a part of the Republican, who are a part of the Democratic Front. Similarly, in India, we have LGBTQI people who belong to different parties. So there is nothing one political point of view that because we are also as human as anybody else. All straight people don't have one political view. Similarly, all queer people don't have one political view. They belong to different political, just like all women are not having the same political views. So I feel that there is always there are terms which are always made to uh, for example, the word liberal is very often mocked,
Hmm.
right? But tell me, what's the meaning of the word? How come being liberal is negative? What
Hmm.
does the word liberal mean?
It's been
But people
misconstrued.
will, right? Liberal is such a beautiful word. Similarly, feminist, for people who actually know the meaning of feminist, what is feminism? Actually, feminism, the core of it, is only about celebrating a woman's rights as an equal human being, period. You know, so, what is there to be mocked about that? It's mocked by people who do not want to give that right to someone else. You know, so yokeism is a term that is used as an insulting face to anybody who has thoughts which is liberal. You know, and for me, I always think that what would you rather be known as a human being? Someone
Hmm.
who has empathy, someone who includes, and that's why is liberal, or someone whose belief in life is about excluding, about constantly finding reasons to alienate the other. No one is perfect. You know, each party, each movement is made of human beings like you and I, who are not perfect, who have our flaws, who have our biases, you know, but we keep fighting those biases and, understanding and recognizing that, that's very often important too. And history always goes through phases when a certain wave of emotion rises, and it's a normal thing. Sometimes the right wing goes up, the left wing, and it's been through. There was a time when Hitler was very popular, right?
Yeah.
So that's also our history. That's human history. You know,
He was
there
voted
are,
Time Magazine's Man of the Year.
yeah. So I mean, I think that these are phases, but what is more important that we as human beings keep. There are ways. There are people who, I always find that, I do not support any kind of terrorism. Be it the Hamas, be it, whatever. Be it a terrorist killing, anybody in Kashmir or anybody. I am a strong opposer of any kind of terrorism. At the same time, I cannot celebrate the death of children and innocent people. And it surprises me to see the number of people who think it's okay, you know. And I just think of those children, and I think that, when they're called martyrs, I want to laugh because they didn't choose. They were just killed. They were just murdered. And how can any human being with any conscience support the killing of children? That means you're not a good human being, period. There's
Absolutely.
no black and white about that.
Now, do you feel that in Bollywood there is discrimination against people because of their orientation?
Yes and no. I feel that today you will not see actors who are open about their sexual identity, unless they are from a different gender, like transgender, because they know that if they're open about their sexuality, their roles that they might get is limited. Secondly, I also feel that having been an open, out and proud filmmaker for the longest time that I know, uh, I don't face any direct. I've never faced any direct discrimination, but I know that people bracket you that, oh, Honor makes those kind of films, whereas out of the eight, now nine films that I've made, maybe three and a half is actually deals with queer. People will happily forget that I've made a Sorry Bye, I made a Bus Iqbal, I produced a Chauranga, I did a Shab, I did Kuch Bhigi Alfaz. All these films are not queer stories.
Mm.
So people are selective, and in that way they discriminate. And that is how, I feel that I started off independent, and I'm still independent, and it's not out of only choice. I like my independence, but at the same time, that uh, a lot of people stay away from approaching you for, and I would think that by now, uh, I have a body of work which is respectable enough to for people to, approach me. But I don't see. But then, I'm not the kind of person who will sit and mope about it. I'll figure out ways, because for me, the happiness I get of making what I do is more than the hurdles, you know. And then I will have people saying that, oh my God, you're a champion of this, and you did started my brother Nikhil, and that was the first, and da da da. But uh, there is no acknowledgement of that in the industry. you
Mm.
know I will get, I get awarded for my work for the queer space across the world, not in my industry. But
Mm.
honestly, it doesn't matter anymore, because the love I get from my community and a lot of others who appreciate the kind of work I do is good enough. And when you make films that will remain as a part of history of Indian cinema, then nothing can take away what you do. And I feel that as a person, I seek more happiness, and that's why these. I mean, I know these things are there, but I don't dwell on it, and they don't define my life or my journey as a filmmaker.
Hmm. Nada, besides being an exceptional director, you're an intellectual as well. There's been an ongoing debate in the Western media, and most of these podcasts are usually trying to figure out how many genders are there. Are you familiar with this kind of a squabble, if I can call it that, or confusion?
See, I don't think there is a confusion about the gender thing. There are three genders right now. I think the biggest debate that is happening is about more about how do we place a trans woman and a trans man. There is a lot of debate about should trans women be able to compete in sports with uh, women who were assigned by birth the female identity, or does someone who identifies as a woman without the physical transition having happened, or after doing the transition. So there's a lot of debate. It is complex, because there is a certain lived in experience that a woman has, and I feel it's something that even I think that what is correct, it is very complex because uh, when you identify as a woman emotionally and go through the process, how can you not be treated as a woman, but at the same time that there is this debate that you have been physically wants a man, so the physicality is different, whatever. So it's a debate, and it's a, if you really think that for the world, for the longest time, only two genders, though transgender has always been seen and accepted, but giving respect to the three genders is such a recent phenomena that we've just started acknowledging that there are different forms of sexuality, gender, which is still, of course, criminalized across many countries in the world, unfortunately. So we are learning to get to know, and all of us are, I think, trying to figure out how to be fair to another person, how to be kind to another person without taking away someone else's right.
Hmm.
you know
Well
so
articulated.
how and I think it's a process right now. So everyone is trying to figure out. It's not easy because it's new, and but I'm sure that when people start talking, debating, finally, hopefully we will find a space that is fair to everybody.
Dada, thanks for articulating and putting that into perspective, like only you can, and like you always do. Unfortunately, we have also run out of time, but I think we covered most aspects of your professional journey, your professional past, and the future and the present, as well as some of the issues that you have stood by, the issues that you have always fought for as well. I really appreciate you took out the time and spoke to a long story short. Thank you so much. Um, Great meeting you once again.
Thank you, Vinit. It was a pleasure. Have a good day.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.